This is so cool. I've actually never done a podcast like this. So,
Oh, really?
oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
setup's great. Setup's great. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Tim Talks. Today I'm here with my boy Chris. What
Good
up?
to
What
see
up?
you, Tim.
How you doing, bro?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Week has been kind of busy,
Busy.
midterms picking up, Corp Fin, macro, and then had a couple of papers for philosophy. So, it is what it is, though. Normal activities of a UChicago college student during the quarter system. So,
That's how it be. All right, let's cue the intro music. Hey.
hey, it's kind of giving Subway Surfers.
Really? Awesome. Awesome. Oh, it's longer than I thought.
Yeah. It's like, what other moves do we do?
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, Chris, thank you for coming on the show once again. Why don't you tell us and the viewers and the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Well, first thought, when he was playing the music, I was thinking to myself, what happens if someone just sees us kind of going by and is wondering like what the heck is going on? But but first, my name is Christopher Simington. I am a second year at the University of Chicago, originally from Dallas, Texas, and a Pike brother with Tim.
Awesome.
But yeah, did I say business economics and philosophy?
Yeah.
I'm double majoring in that. People look at me kind of crazy all the time, like, why are you mixing those two? Happy to go into it more, but yeah, that's what I'm majoring in. And I was originally on the football team my first year. Now I've kind of gone into running.
Oh, nice.
I like to play pickleball a little bit and a lot of other things like that. I play an instrument, so I play the oboe, and yeah, I'm a big foodie too. Maybe I'm doing too much with the introduce yourself, but yeah, that's a little bit about me. We can kind of pop the shell on any one of those, but yeah.
Bro, that's tough, bro. All right. Yeah, wait. Tell us more about the philosophy stuff. Like that's awesome, bro.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider myself like the next coming of Immanuel Kant or anything, but yeah, I'm doing philosophy. I wasn't as, high on the horse about it my first year. I was originally thinking of doing psychology because I wanted to understand like how the brain works and kind of the science behind it and I was also thinking about doing behavioral economics at the time, but it got a little bit too sciencey for me
Yeah.
for like in the third quarter, and I was kind of wondering also, are we allowed to press on this?
Yeah, bro.
Okay. I was
Yeah.
wondering like what the hell like am I doing? I was wondering like what the hell am I doing? I don't know if this is really what I wanted to do, and I started to kind of run into this wall with psychology. We don't really understand how the brain works as much as we think we do, and I think this is kind of like a connecting point. But I think that's also why AGI and AI is kind of far
Ooh.
away from here. Far from the realism of it actually being presented into today's world, at least for the next 5 years, or until we start to understand more about how the brain works. And that kind of led me to what is really like the root of thought? How do we think? What is like the root of perspective? And that kind of led me to philosophy. And I had a lot of philosophy courses in the high school that I went to. So I went to Jesuit Dallas. It's a college preparatory school, Catholic school, all boys school in Dallas. And we did a lot of theology with kind of rooted based on like Aristotle, Kant, Stuart Mills, and St. Thomas Aquinas. So we did a lot of readings there and kind of just to learn more in how it kind of shapes our belief and thought into more of like a religious point of view, but now I kind of wanted to get it more like an academic point of view and how it leads to different practical areas of our life, like AI or in the workplace, or even just how we interact in a basic sense on a college campus here. So,
I see.
yeah,
see.
I know that's a very drawn out answer, but yeah.
No, I love to hear it. Yeah. No, you mentioned the Catholic school. I see the cross on your Netflix on your neck.
Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, tell me about so you're Christian?
Yeah, I'm Christian non-denominational. I'm not Catholic. I was very close to potentially going down that walk of life, but I don't think I was super just set on, the sacraments yet at this point
Mm-hmm.
in time. There was also just a couple of religious differences I had just at this point in time of my life that I didn't necessarily agree on. And usually my friends who were Catholic also agree with me on those differences.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was just I still am trying to find my path when it comes to religion and the certain denomination that I go towards. And I just wasn't super set on anything right now. So I'm kind of staying in the middle ground of I believe in Christ and everything like that in the New Testament, but kind of just want to keep it non-denominational. You're a Christian too, right? If you don't mind me asking.
I would, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I consider myself Christian in high school, and then college has been like this agnostic theist journey of
Yeah.
like questioning God. But I think I don't know. I think I'm finally really like after living in the world in the wrong ways of the world. I think I want to come back to Christ.
Yeah.
Of course, there will always be skeptics and doubts in my mind, but I think deep down in my heart, I do believe in Jesus.
Yeah.
But um, but it's hard though, cause like we're in a frat. Sometimes we just got to get so further,
Yeah, get
Yeah.
further on Fridays and Saturdays. But you mentioned a great point, and I think like I did a couple of mission trips my high
Awesome.
school career. I went to Guatemala and Monterrey, Mexico. I definitely think the mission trip to Guatemala was one of the most life changing trips I've ever been on. Um, I went to Antigua, so I was on basically the mountain that looks over the lake, Lake Atitlan, if I'm mispronouncing that. I'm
Hmm.
not the best Spanish speaker, but yeah. So I went there, and it was no phones, no nothing, and we were living like priests for
Wow.
4 or 5 days, and basically interacting with the mountain villages and the people who lived in some of these separate islands that you had to travel across only from boat to, and they had their own native languages that were most related to like native tribes back when the Aztecs and all of those tribes were going on. And they were
Hmm.
kind of like the last remnants, and it kind of gave me a big appreciation of what we have in America, and b that some of the most impactful things in your life can come from some of the most simple things that you interact with. Even being able to plant a basic garden and just being able to learn that, or having all you can eat tacos with the
Ooh.
villagers, corn tortillas as you're making them. And I remembered the story when I first tried to make them with my buddy Paul. Paul was one of the people who were on the mission trip with me, and we were just slapping together corn tortillas, and it kept sticking to my hands. And the old ladies are looking at me like, "What the hell is this big black kid doing?" It's like, is it really that hard for him? And eventually I got it, and I thought I was like a master and was trying to
Oh,
challenge them to it. But it was like one of the best times of my life. And as we're ending the trip, this was like the really eureka moment.
mhm.
We're coming down the mountain in a big RV van, listening to the
Ooh.
Eagles just rolling down. The sun is hitting the lake perfectly,
Mhm.
and I said to myself, if I didn't believe in God, or I was hesitant to believe in God, just seeing this makes me believe in him so much more. Everything was perfect. It wasn't even the fact that we were listening to the Eagles. It was just, or that I was with my friends. We were just having a good time. It was just everything that was so simple in life, being able to listen to the music, really being able to appreciate the sun, not having a phone in front of your face, looking at, the people on the boats as they were fishing and trying to get their daily, quota. It was just everything was so much more less sophisticated. And I think all of that culminating combined together, it was something just beautiful that it just couldn't be explained by happen coincidence. And I think I believed in God a lot more. And I think kind of going throughout college, it's definitely been tough. There's definitely
Right.
been a lot of distractions, you could say.
Yeah.
Maybe getting too further on the Friday and Saturdays, and maybe
Yeah.
Thursdays for you true
Ooh.
degenerates, or any weekday.
Yeah.
But I mean, I always try to remember that story, and it kind of returns me a little bit back to um, God and religion and stuff like that.
Wow. That's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, a moment that it just really reaffirms your belief in Christ and stuff like that.
yeah. Have you had any of those moments to where maybe not so much where life is simple and it kind of reaffirms your religion, but anything like a miracle or maybe the appreciation of nature, or even just your interaction with a human, or it could be really anything, I guess.
Oh, yeah, good question. Was not prepared for that.
Do we have an
But
agenda? Are we trying to,
no,
get some
no.
right?
It's just whatever, bro.
Yeah.
It's a conversation. But I mean, in high school, if you're listening to this, hi. But my first ex-girlfriend was extremely Christian, and I think like spending a lot of time with her brought me a lot closer to God, and I had a really nice church back in Florida, Tallahassee. It was a Chinese Christian church. It was a bunch of like Chinese Asian people, but yeah, where I really like became like, I guess, like a super Christian was like sophomore year. There was this if you're watching this was my youth mentor. His name's Brandon. He's a very like very, very devout Christian. He would like lead our like group of kids and to go out on the street and just evangelize people and like ask them about their spirituality and just tell them about Jesus, like how Jesus was telling people to spread the word. So some people like him. There was this other influencer, Abby, hello as well. She like she's a hugely Instagram influencer, but she's like always, trying to spread Christ and talk about that. Like that's been super inspirational as well. And she was on the podcast like a few years ago, but she told me about her like mindset of how like even like if God is not real, I'll still have achieved my maximum happiness believing in God as if he were real. And for even from like a econ self-utilitarian point of view, life is all about maximizing utility, and utility can be defined as like peace, contentment, joy, pleasure, like all of the positive emotions. And so I want to like be Christian to maximize my happiness and my utility. However, maybe I also just do believe. I mean, yeah, in college it's been tough though. I mean, I used to think like, oh, I want to analyze every single like little argument in the Bible and like find these contradictions and like, oh, and like what about these really tough questions like the problem of evil and free will and like all these like nitty gritty details. But I realized, I mean, theologians have talked about this for centuries, and there's always like some way to unify it, just like based on human intuition. But I guess I just do kind of believe. So now this is like a slow walk back. But
yeah, I mean, how do you think? And I guess we can shift it from religion a little bit, but what do you kind of want out of this whole college experience? Obviously, you want to keep some religion intact of kind of your belief, but I know you're Mr. VC, Mr. Startup out here. Like, do you eventually want to kind of like have your own startup kind of through the education that you got from UChicago? Do you kind of want to go more like a white collar corporate job, or do you want to kind of take it somewhere else?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked, Chris. Let me tell you about my dream. So ever since a young age, I've always wanted like two things. It was like to explore space and to like make like $1 billion in a startup or something like that.
You'd be good friends with Elon.
Bro, one day.
Maybe he'll be on the podcast one of these days.
One day, bro.
Yeah.
But I mean, space stuff. I like took an astrophysics class last year. I didn't find it that interesting. It wasn't like like it wasn't like the Carl Sagan like documentaries. No, it's just a bunch of number crunching because the telescope moved 1 millimeter to the right, so we analyzed the photons that bounce off this resistor.
Yeah,
not that fun.
Was this black holes?
No, this was Intro to Astrophysics.
Intro to Astrophysics. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyways, I've always wanted to do a startup. So and tech is definitely the best way to do that, which is why like I'm studying CS and stats and just getting super into like CS recruiting and like startup stuff. But my vision is like I find this brotherhood, a group of people I can call my brothers and trust and love fully and have fun with. We'll travel around the world in our 20s. So we'll like we'll all be like working in a coffee shop in Thailand, like working on our businesses. On the weekends, we'll go out, go clubbing, be this is my past self, but like be promiscuous, be like just get pretty further, try everything, you know what I mean? Like all
literally
that,
everything,
like all that stuff, right? And then meet the perfect wife when I'm 30, and then like have the perfect 4 kids, like oldest son, twin daughters, youngest son, like in Friends.
Yeah.
And like,
oh, you're a Friends fan,
bro? It's the GOAT sitcom. Bro, are you gonna say Office?
Well, no, I was gonna say like Full House or Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Okay.
For my brothers my brothers and sisters. But then you got Full House. I mean, I think Full House. I don't know about Fuller House. I wasn't too big of a fan, but Full House was always like, gosh, that was good.
But I've seen some really funny clips on YouTube.
Yeah. But Friends, I mean, I never got into it personally. I know there's
Yeah.
some super Friends fans out there,
Yeah.
and I don't want to offend you guys, but I don't know if it's the GOAT sitcom.
You know, that's
But
fair.
no, I respect it. I
Fair.
respect it. I
That's fair.
respect it. But okay, go on.
But
Go on.
yeah. So then that's like and then my 30s and 40s I'll be like focused on raising those kids. That's like 20 years on them. Then like my 50s and 60s, this can be like a time of philanthropy. Like
Yeah.
me getting this rich was not only for like not only for socioeconomic status and lifestyle, but also to give back to the world.
Yeah.
And then like 60s, 70s, 80s, that can be like time of spirituality and coming back to Christ.
Yeah.
However, obviously, and always, of course, always be physically healthy, mentally healthy. But of course, there's obviously a lot of flaws in this problem. Like you can't wait to push Christ back until you're about to die. What if you die earlier? And Jesus said, it's harder for a rich man to enter heaven than a camel to go through the eye of a needle.
Yeah.
So like, I don't even know if we're allowed to make that much money. But yeah, this is what I dream towards. This is what I work towards every day.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to touch on. I think I somewhat had a similar path. Maybe not so much startup at first. Now that viewpoint has somewhat changed.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people always wrestle with this idea of, do I want to work the desk job?
Mm-hmm.
Where I come in with my formal suit, my tie, my blazer, my nice tacked out dress shoes, my belt, or and my slacks and everything like that, with the new haircut. Ooh. And then there's the other side of the path where it's, do I want to be out in the Bay or California and having my own startup where I can kind of be in control of my life? And I think at first I kind of picked more of this desk job, more of like the corporate world. And I wouldn't say I've divulged from that too much, considering, what I'm doing this summer and next summer. But I've also wanted to play like somewhat of a middle ground to, during the latter half of the summer. And also I'm taking off the quarter in the fall to go work at a startup. And I'm really excited for it. But I think being able to work in both places and get a little bit of a perspective in both will allow me to kind of answer this question, which one do I want to divulge more of my time into? And essentially, what do I consider whichever path less of work and more of, and of course, in case you're watching this through voice, I put quotations around work. But what do I consider work, and what do I consider something that I can truly do, that I am great at? There's a famous speaker who's actually talked at UChicago before. He's kind of like an activist more so in like the economic and policy world, called Scott Galloway. He has his own newsletter, and he came to talk at UChicago last year. But he has this really interesting perspective on what we consider work and what we consider fun. And he doesn't believe in you should do something that you're like passionate about or fun. But he believes that you should divulge more of your time into something you're good at, because whatever you're good at is something that you will naturally be entertained by, something you will naturally be passionate in. And I see a lot of my type of thinking going into that, honestly, because I think whatever I'm good at, I am naturally more interested in, and once you kind of reach this level of greatness, or, A1 in whichever game you're playing in, I think you'll naturally have more fun and be willing to put more time into it. And I just don't know which one of those two paths, whether the startup or the corporate scene, I'm more interested in. And I think kind of in the next year, I hopefully will answer some of that question. And then I kind of did also kind of share your perspective on trying to find the wife and have kids, and maybe into my late 30s, early 40s, and hopefully being on the Gulf Coast of wherever, laying in my beach house in St. Bart's, or, and kind of calling it the good life. But I think that was also a more naive perspective. I think a lot of the people that I've met here on campus have kind of allowed me to be a little bit more realistic, and with how hard something truly is to pull off whenever you're thinking about scale. whether I'm trying to sell a company for $1 billion and it be the next unicorn, you see how truly hard that is.
Yeah.
And you look at how intelligent people are that aren't even able to do that same thing. And, I could run in this circle all day, but it kind of makes you think, is it really the intelligent people that pull this off? Is it just the hardworking people that pull this off? Is it the right mix? Is there really no mix? Is it something that you can't necessarily quantify? And yeah, I think I'm kind of answering that question every single day, but it's I forget the tale. It's about like the story of is it the god that pushes up the rock up the mountain, but it continues to fall back down every single day. I feel
Sisyphus?
yeah, exactly. I feel like that's me every single day. Like I find out the answer, and there's something else that makes me think otherwise, or I realize how much more I have to learn in this grand scope that we call life, and what I'm actually trying to achieve. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense, bro. Bro, that's awesome. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, life's just all about finding what it takes. And
Yeah.
we got all life to figure it out. But we should figure it out sooner than later though.
Well, do you
Um
think like find it out sooner rather than later? Do you think you ever really find your purpose? I mean,
mm,
like what I've always heard is once you kind of find your purpose in life is usually or achieved your purpose in life is usually when you pass because you have nothing else to give to the world. Now that's a little bit more of like I think a cynical way of maybe looking at it,
yeah.
but maybe it's not like you fulfilled your purpose on the world and what else do you have? And you just naturally kind of go on to the next afterlife. So it kind of makes me think like we don't have to have it all figured out right now. And that's
Mhm.
kind of why we're in college to socialize with people from all across the world. My former roommate who took a gap year was the first person I've ever met from Montana. Like I would
Oh,
have
wow.
never. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I would have never probably met another person from Montana from Texas. I've met people from New Hampshire. It's the state you hear about, but never meet anybody from there. I've met people from different countries, from France, from Canada, from Mexico, from Guatemala, from Argentina, Venezuela, and I just think there's so much more of the world that you're exposed to that I think gives you a lot of privilege from being here and kind of finding your way and combining different cultures in order to kind of polish your perspective. So, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, you really do meet like almost everyone here.
yeah.
Like what, 20% or over hires international?
Has to be higher. I mean, maybe I'm just not that tapped into the domestic US people, but I feel like a lot of my friends are international. Um, I have friends from China, from Vietnam, from UK. There's a good amount of internationals in Pike, right? I mean, I would think so.
Yeah, some Canadians, some a lot of people from UK.
UK.
Yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
in our pledge class, I think we had
oh,
like
right.
1/4, like 25% were just UK.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then had to be like half were international.
Yeah,
I think so.
from South Korea
Because we had like David and
and
me.
China.
Um, Jack is from Singapore, but also UK. He's like a pseudo mix. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's just insane. I mean, I never would have had that type of like, life if I went to UT or SMU or TCU. And I don't think that's like good or bad, but I just, it really makes you realize there's a much bigger world than kind of the world you're living in at that present time. So I don't know. Do you never like think about that? I mean, I'm just curious because I never put that into scale. But these people are like hundreds and hundreds of miles away from where we call home.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in Tallahassee, Florida. Like,
Yeah,
it was like 95% white high school. I mean, there was still like a lot of diversity. Like,
yeah,
there's a lot of like Asians and black people, of course.
yeah.
But
Eh.
but like, but yeah, I mean, I feel like everyone mostly was just like white,
Yeah,
and everyone kind of liked the same things of like lifted trucks, hunting, like
yeah,
fishing, and like backwards hats and all that stuff.
yeah,
But like, yeah, no, it's there's just so many different people here for sure.
yeah.
Tell me about the startup you're joining in the fall though. I'm very curious.
Yeah. So I am joining a, you could call it AI hardware or just like hardware in general, startup called Etched. So it's based out of
Oh yeah.
California, San Jose to be specific. We're a couple minutes from the NVIDIA headquarters. But essentially, kind of what they do is, how NVIDIA has like these multi general purpose chips. So they're really flexible into the application that you kind of use them for. Now you kind of have like these other startups kind of coming onto the scenes the last couple of 5, 8 years ago, like Cerebrus. You have I don't know why I'm blanking now, but you have Etched, who is kind of one of the um, kind of startups in this kind of landscape going on right now. But essentially, what they do is they burn the design onto an ASICs, and it kind of gives them a little bit more kind of specific application into what they want to use it for. And what this kind of does is their whole slogan is we 10 times the speed and we cut down the computing capacity by like 1/10. So essentially, promising a faster um, chip kind of like computing speed and like cutting down on this capacity um, that is actually going through um, like kind of going through the grid in order to kind of get done with your task faster. But they base it on the thesis of LLMs kind of being the models of the future. And I'm happy to go into, do I believe in that thesis or not? I think I naturally kind of am intrigued by it, or else I wouldn't be, working there or applied there. And I think it's like really impressive. The people are geniuses. I mean, these people are some of the smartest people in the world. And I think it's also why I was more intrigued to work there, just because, you have ex NVIDIA, you have ex Tesla, you have ex Citadel, some of the biggest and most profitable and most high quality companies in the world all gathered into a specific startup. And I think there's a risk you take in any startup that you do that it might not work out. But I think just seeing on what they've been able to do in the kind of last couple of years um, and kind of moreover, you know, I have faith in where the company is going and I would love to learn from them. So I'll be working there basically last week of July all the way. My contract goes to January 3rd. But, the big question is, do I continue to maybe take another quarter off or, um, maybe take the risk? I'll kind of leave it a little bit more open ended on that. But then also next summer, I know you didn't necessarily ask this, but like this is kind of like my career track. So I'll be working at Fortress this summer from June and July, and then last week of July all the way to January 3rd, I'll be working at Etched, and then maybe come back to school during the winter, maybe not. We'll see. And then during the summer, I am signed to go Morgan Stanley during that summer. Thank you, Tim. It would have been weird to go across the mic, so I didn't want to do that. But yeah, so kind of a stacked summer, very busy things ahead. But my whole notion of it is I hate going home and just laying on my couch. That first couple days feels great because my mom makes some food. She orders like
Oh
my
yeah.
favorite candy, which is like it's this Swedish candy. It's so good. It's so good. It's called Bubs. If you're listening to this, please try it. It's so good. I actually have. So I'm running a marathon this Sunday, and I've been keeping this bag in my in my drawer to eat it right after the race. So like that has been the thing I've like been waiting for. And I got it back from spring break and stuff like that. So it's like been my one motivation, like keep training, keep training, keep training, and then I get bubs. But after like that first week of watching anime and eating my
Oh
favorite
yeah.
candies and kind of just gooning off a little bit, I kind of start to think like I wish I could go make some money or go learn something or go learn behind someone, even if I wasn't going to get paid. Just I need to go improve on a skill. I'm just like kind of a jitterbug. I don't know if that's just me being Sagittarius or just having my mom who was just super hardworking, and I've never really seen her like relax for more than a couple days. And when I say couple, I mean like 2 days. And I
Mhm.
just have to go out into the world and give something of value or get something of value. And I think that's kind of like why I was more intentional about really making my summer jam packed and not really leaving a lot of free time to
Yeah.
go back home and just chill. Or a lot of people travel, which I think has its own merit, but wasn't too much for me. And I think I'll still be able to travel. I'll still be out in California. I've never been to San Jose ever once in my life. So
Hmm.
then I'll be there for the next couple of months. So I'll probably get very used to California in general and maybe going to like different suburbs and maybe taking advantage of maybe like the tech conferences they'll probably have. And it's more than just the startup, being at the startup and learning from the people at the specific startup, right? I think it's also the environment you're in, and you look at this Bay culture and SF and San Jose, and there's a big AI hype there that you can either get behind or not. And I don't think you're wrong or right. It's really, I mean, let me take that back. There's definitely a right and wrong, and we're going to see it in the next 5 to 10 years, but there might be a little bit of mix. And I think it's honestly the multitude or the scale at which the AI gets to. I kind of have a certain belief. I don't know if AGI is possible anytime soon, just because I think the backing of AGI requires deep knowledge about the brain and neural networks. And I don't think if you can't understand the brain, and I was actually having a talk with someone about this in the first phase of AGI, which is maybe to continually self improve. That might be possible without the brain. But in order to actually have the emotions and thought process of a human, you have to understand how the brain works and electrical signals that it gives to the rest of the body. And if we don't fully understand that, then I don't know how we can get to a full scale second phase of AGI. So I'm a little bit more pessimistic about that. But I also think it is worth observing what is going on in the atmosphere right now. And I don't think there's any better place than that, than SF. And then you can also say China, but, you know, I, China, trying to think. I might not be able to be in China for the next couple of months. Would love to. I actually was growing. I used to
Okay.
grow up
Yeah.
as a kid. Always wanted to go to China and Asia. And my mom was like, "Why do you want to go there?" And I was like, "I love the food." But I was a big kid when I was younger. I was a chubby kid. Were you waiting to press that?
No, I just
Yeah.
got reminded.
But yeah, I always loved like Asian food, and we used to kind of have like the hole in the walls a little bit. And I would love to go to China. I just don't know how realistic that is for, for a couple of months. And but yeah,
Bro, I love how you've fully like mapped out like your career and like you've been very intentional about all these opportunities. Like they don't just fall in your lap. You have to be a go-getter.
yeah.
Like I
Thank
remember,
you.
of course, I remember speaking to you like in freshman year in our Spanish class together, and you would tell me about like like I buzz my head every day. I wake up, I grind private equity because I'm gonna do private equity right after college, straight from undergrad. You're in TBC.
Yeah.
You're like you're super like you're like really locked in.
I Okay, let me just get rid of this locked in notion. I think people are performatively not locked in, performatively locked in, even myself at times. Also, in case you're wondering what Tim was talking about with the shaved head, I don't know what was going through my mind. I shaved it, was it first week of spring? I think it was somewhere. It was
Yeah.
around spring, and I kind of said I need to make a change, like in my life. I don't think I'm locked in enough. That was like physical wise. I stopped playing football my first year. So in case you don't know, I was an athlete my first year playing on the football team. Tore my knee, had surgery, and kind of opted to not play any more sports for the rest of my UChicago career. Who knows? Maybe I come back out third, fourth year, kind of kick it a little
Hey.
bit.
Yeah.
Probably not though. But
Hmm.
I kind of said to myself, because I was going through somewhat of a tough year, kind of said, you know what? I'm going to shave my head so each day that I wake up, I remind myself of the promise I made, whether that's kind of getting more locked in when it comes to career, physical. I started running over the summer. I was like 275 and now I'm like 215. So I dropped like 40, 50 pounds during the summer and then dropped a little bit more weight during the fall. Um, just being a little bit more focused on like career, religion was even kind of that tail for me too that I wanted to improve on. And I knew I was going to be by myself during the summer. So I really wanted to start getting into better habits of nature because I wanted to be a better self. And I think that was, maybe I didn't need to go so far as shaving my head, but it was definitely one of the better decisions I think I've made in terms of my psychological change. Will I ever shave my head again? Probably not. My mom also was kind of wondering, what the hell are you doing, Christopher? My grandma looked at me sideways and was like, why do you have your head shaved? I also was doing like interviews for my freshman summer, or the summer after my freshman year.
Yeah.
And I promise that people thought I was like 10 years older. I used to get looks when I jumped on the Zoom because I was like bald. And they were probably thinking, like, why is this 19-year-old kid just bald? Like, with just bald head, and like just little stubbles coming out of, the top of my head. And they're like, okay, well, he's not genetically bald. Did he choose to just like shave his head bald? Um, and the best.
Yeah.
And the best was like when my friends used to come up and just smack my head. I will say there was a lot less tailor needed to my hair needs, and it also kind of felt good. You've shaved your head before, not like skin bald, but you ever feel like the head a little bit, and it kind of feels good. I don't
Yeah.
know, maybe
Yeah.
that's just
Yeah.
me, but like being skin bald, I did not leave a guard on. Like when he
Oh
says
wow.
bald, I mean like skin bald, like there was no hair like poking out. So when I felt it, I felt nothing but skin, and it kind of felt good. It felt weird but good, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of went through that, and I would say it worked out. I'm still on edge of kind of what I want to do in life, and I think I'm still just trying to work hard and learn from other people. Um, each and every day, and I think coming to the school, it's natural if you surround yourself by the people that you gravitate towards and things of that nature. And I definitely think being in a fraternity helps because you kind of have two sides of a coin. You have the people who maybe go further every week. Won't say any
Yeah.
won't say any names in our fraternity too much, but and then you have like the other side of people who are very locked in, but know how to have a good time, work hard, play hard.
Yeah.
Some people are work hard, play harder.
Oh
But
yeah.
it's really good to like learn after people who have kind of gone through the walk of life as you have, and you just kind of look up to them a little bit. Um, yeah, I and going back to that locked in thing, I think locked in kind of gives this notion that it's a temporary state. I think where I really want to get to is where it's not necessarily locked in, but consistently working towards a goal and consistently climbing up the mountain. Um, you know, if you fall down one step or you go back one step, are you going forward three steps? You go back two steps, let's go forward four steps. Locked in makes it seem like we need to just keep going forward with no steps back. And I don't think that is sustainable long term in life. And that's why I don't necessarily love the term locked in. And I think it can be a little performative, and I think it can be a little bit temporary. And I don't think you should live your life temporarily. And I think you should live it as a lifestyle, right? That is going to conduct with you for the rest of your life. So I think I've tried to get out of this mind notion of um, locked in, but more so, am I making a path to my goals each and every day, and like actually getting better at them, 1% better each and every day. Because I don't know if you've ever seen the graph 1.01 to the power of 365, and then you see the difference between like 0.99 to the power of 365.
Ooh.
The difference at the end of the year is monumental. Monumental. It's kind of the same, I guess, parable as like the chess board. And are you like, if you were to double grains of rice on each like square on the chessboard, eventually by like the last square, there would be more than the grains of sand in the entire world. So you think about that each and every day, and are you? I'm not saying you have to double in talent or productivity necessarily, but even at 1.01 to the power of 365, and even you stacked it among multiple years of your life. This is why I think startups and companies aren't built in a day, aren't built in a month. great ones aren't even built in a year, 2 years, 3 years. I mean, look at how long Amazon took. Look how long Meta, Facebook, or same thing. Look how
Yeah, yeah,
long
yeah.
Facebook took. And all these other great companies like Airbnb, DoorDash. Grubhub is a company, but it still came out of UChicago, so I want to give it some rep. But yeah, you just look at these great companies, and um, you see that it takes a long time, and there's plenty of fallbacks. But it's whether, again, after those 2 steps back, are you moving ahead? Are you moving 4 steps forward, 3 steps forward, 5 steps forward, and so on and so on. So yeah.
Wow. You know, I really liked how you talked about people being performatively logged in. I think that's definitely me, honestly.
No, Tim, you're
But
definitely not, bro. Keep in mind, this dude Tim has like done so much. He's founded his own fraternity at UChicago. He's been a part of another fraternity, Pi Kappa Alpha. He's done kind of his own thing with startups. He has the whole crypto thing going on. I'm kind of shush about that in case you don't want to make that public.
no, that's all good.
He was a dog in the Spanish class, goated Spanish class, by the way.
Tough.
And then like just academically, this guy is real package. So, puts me to shame a little bit.
No, all you, Chris.
Yeah.
It's all you, bro. Bro, appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, I mean, I think a lot of people here are very talented. It's just, I think there's a lot of imposter syndrome that goes on that shouldn't happen. Personally, do you feel that way?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a game of comparison. I feel like, I can't help but compare myself to a lot of, my friends. Like, we have like friends getting these offers and like getting these competitions, like, or just like in this like state of like happiness in this like relationship or like whatever. There's always something that you don't have. And I don't know, it's hard not to compare yourself, but trying to get better about that, of course.
Yeah.
And of course, once you like stop giving a shit about like everyone else and you like just really like have self-love and practice on bettering yourself, then I think most of that imposter syndrome will go away.
Yeah, especially on the relationships one. I mean, hopefully this podcast will give me a relationship, but like
He's single.
Yeah, I mean, but dude, it's like, it's not sad or like depressing whenever you see a happy couple, but like,
All right.
perfect time. But like, but I mean, I definitely am like, dang, like, should I try to get into a relationship or something, or like, should I make an effort, like more of an effort? But yeah, that's dating in Chicago.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
What is the culture like here for those curious?
Oh my gosh. First year was fun. Second year, I think definitely looking more for like a relationship type of ordeal. I think sometimes you gotta fall into the trap, and I hate this game of not being too nice, like all at once. And like sometimes they like a toxic, but like I just not toxic. Like I just can't do that. So
No, that's
yeah. He's just like I think I'm too nice. I actually think I'm like maybe I'll like double text was like the cardinal sin. I think I've like triple text before. That's like double cardinal sin. But dating somewhat tough too with like a lot of the academic work, especially if you're locked in on some other things. And then the quarter system does not make that any easier because classes go by like that super quick. And if you're not careful, like it can really catch up on you, especially with midterms finals that are compressed into an 8-9 week, whereas my friends have 16, 17 weeks to get into. That didn't even apply there.
All right,
The 6-7 meme didn't even apply.
I can't help it.
Just you hear like 16, 17, 6-7 right next to each other. It's like,
I don't know.
Play the sound effect for that one.
I'm too brain rotted.
Scooby toilet. But yeah, it's tough, and I think, could I do it? I definitely think it would be possible, but I think it would also need to be a girl that compliments me fairly well, is kind of going after her own thing, and is okay with, maybe me going radio silent for a couple hours. Is maybe okay with me like not wanting to go to a party on Friday, Saturday, maybe staying in and just watching a movie or just like something more chill. Um, yeah, and just someone that maybe complements my personal lifestyle. I feel like since why are you
No,
looking?
go on, go on.
I
Go.
definitely think since like winter and now spring, definitely went a lot less further. I've kind of been keeping like a in-house type of nature, maybe just like inviting a couple friends over, either watching UFC,
Oh yeah.
um, or watching a game or watching a movie, and kind of just calling it a night has definitely been more my idea of fun. Um, maybe that's subject to change in the next couple weeks, especially with some good parties and maybe our formal some after parties
Oh yeah.
scheduled. Maybe you'll see further Chris back out again.
For the
Um,
Chris.
yeah, but I definitely think right now just kind of just trying to relax a little bit. And I think a little bit of that has been because I've been training for the marathon. I just don't want to put things or do things that would put my goals at risk or put my goals in an adverse nature. And I think that is definitely why I've been prioritizing things over others. And yeah.
Bro, I find it really cool how you're doing a marathon. Tell me about this entire like journey, your prep, your weekly
Yeah.
mileage, your pace, like your like all of that.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, if I looked at myself 2 years ago and said I'm gonna go from football lineman to marathon runner, and I haven't ran it yet, so maybe we'll have to do a follow up podcast on how
Oh
the
yeah.
marathon went. But essentially, I've always been a big kid since I was younger. Gosh, I was like 300 pounds my like senior year of high school, and I wanted to drop a little bit of weight, show off a little bit, show off some of the muscles, and I found myself around 270. I was actually leaner. I was like 260 going into football at UChicago, because I just wanted to be a little bit quicker, get rid of some fat, and then I tore my knee, had surgery. It was kind of a depressing fall quarter,
Yeah.
because you're just on crutches, and then seeping into the winter quarter, just being on crutches. That that bleep sucked. That sucked. That really, really sucked. Um, like a lot. I
Mm.
mean, imagine it being super icy, it's snowing, and you're just on crutches, trying to walk to your classes or getting in and out of the lift, and it's just painful. Like you just feel your knee just like collapsing every single time. And I gained a little bit of weight. I got up to like 275. Then I shaved my head. I didn't drop too much weight during the spring quarter, but I just think like I had more of like a psychological difference. So then in the summer, I was in Chicago working at a macro hedge fund, during my time, and I found myself like um, by myself, by myself. I found myself in Chicago all alone. My friends weren't really here, but I did have a couple of people from UChicago that were here. Shout out Nick Lynn and Daniel Hugh.
Oh,
Uh,
I like those. I like
yeah,
Nick.
they're great guys, very smart guys, and they were working in Chicago too. So we used to always have like our dinner dates as the three guys, after we got off of our jobs. But I also met a really cool guy, who I didn't interact with that much during the freshman year, but got really close during the summer, named Carter. So he asked me to run because I said I was trying to get into running. I just kind of want to start maybe off with a mile, 2 mile, few miles, still calm 275. So I was kind of a big boy, a big chubby boy. Um, and he said, "Why don't we go out for a 3 mile run?" I looked at him like, "What the hell? Like, did he just say 3 miles? I've never been able to run over a mile in my life. Never mind 3 miles." And you know how sometimes you do that thing where you say, "Oh, yeah, 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 just text me, just let me know."
I'll look
Just
into
yeah,
it.
yeah, I'll look into it. Just let me know.
Yeah.
He says, "Okay, I definitely will. Let me get your number." So I'm thinking like, okay, he's gonna forget about this as soon as he goes back. So a couple hours roll around. I'm about to go to bed, get ready. He's like, "Let's hit 3 mile run tomorrow morning. See you at 6 a.m." I'm like, huh? Huh? Oh no, no, no. But I'm always been a competitor, and I've always been someone to never say no to very much, unless it kind of goes against my beliefs and stuff. So I kind of said, you know what the hell? let's do it. So I show up. It's about 6:30. Sun is itsy bitsy rising. Um, and we start on the 3 mile run. We hit mile one, and I'm like, gosh, dang, this is gonna be. If we keep doing this, I might die by the end. By the grace of good gracious God, I somehow got done with this 3 miles, and I was about to die. And I thought to myself, I still have to go to work today. I still have to go to work today.
Yeah.
So I take my shower. I'm about to text him, like, man, I don't think I can do this. Let's start. And he's like, I think what you did today was great, man. From someone who's never ran like more than really a mile to now 3 miles, like, let's keep this up. You'll see where it goes. And we just keep pushing each other. We run probably like 3 to 4 times a week. And I start dropping pounds. I started looking in the mirror and saying, okay, that vein wasn't there before.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes, sir.
the little bit of muscle wasn't there before. And I used to work, come home, left. I was on basically a very strict cut. I was hungry a lot of nights, woke up even hungrier and went on my run. And then I got into running and started to feel peace. I started to feel at ease. It kind of gave me that like Guatemala mission trip moment to where I was looking at the lake, listening to the eagles going down. And I started to kind of get that same similar feeling, and I got it with running. So we ran basically like all summer, keeping each other accountable. We did a couple of races. We did the Stan's Donut 5K. So this was
Yes,
like my
sir.
first race, and at the end you get Stan's Donuts. Oh my gosh, for a fat boy like me, that was like the dream. So we were eating up some Stan's Donuts, got some coffee, and then we did another one called the Dim Sum 5K 10K. So you could pick if you want to do the 5K, 10K. At that point, I don't think I was in good enough condition to do the 10K, so we opted with the 5K. And then we got some good Chinese food.
Oh,
Dim
yeah.
sum was like the little appetizers, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't know what is dim sum. Do you know what dim sum means? I think it's Mandarin, right?
Yo, I got no clue, bro.
Oh, shoot. That's on me.
I
That's
know.
on me.
I should know this.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
it just means like little something. I think it's the equivalent of like appetizers in like Mandarin or something like that. Sorry if maybe it's candies. I don't know, but it's one of those. So we got some good Chinese food. You can't really mess up Chinese food. This is why I love Chinese food. You can't really
yeah.
mess it up. It's really hard to. And I'm doing these races. By the end of the summer, I think I am like around 215, 220. I think it was like 220, 225, 220, 225. So I dropped like 55, 60 pounds. And I somehow like there was no loose weight. Or like loose skin. And I looked at myself and I was like, gosh, I really did this. But I think there's more. So I do a half marathon, and I think it was November. And I get done with it. I run around a like 143. So I didn't think that was too bad. I run around a 143, 145 for my half marathon. And I think to myself, like, dang, this running stuff is pretty cool. And I start listening to some David Goggins. And I start looking at the races, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm doing no ultra marathons anytime soon, but I want to do a marathon. Like this is the next goal. Have you seen those reels where it's like you start with the 5K, then you do the 10K, then it's like marathon, high rocks, ultra marathon, or like Ironman? Have you seen those reels?
No, I haven't, but
It's like a ladder. I mean, for all the people who are on Gym Core or like David Goggins Core, it's like this ladder where you do one race or you do one event, it's like on to the next one. So for me, it was the marathon. So that's what I'm running this weekend with a couple of my buddies. Do you know Aiden Shaw? So I'm running with him. He's been my running buddy. And then also Sunny Saxana. He's going to be my roommate next year. And I've gotten really close with him the last 2 years. I've known him since freshman year, and we're running with some other really good guys. But me and Aiden are representing Pike.
oh yeah.
Woo! Wait.
Yo.
Wait.
Yo.
Wait. No. So we're representing Pike this weekend, and we're hopefully gonna do pretty well. But yeah, I'm really excited for it. Obviously, haven't ran it yet, but been doing a lot of prep for it. And you can really tell in like just kind of your cardiovascular how you improve over the weeks of training, just looks wise, physique wise. I've kind of gotten to a place where I'm more satisfied. Definitely still room for improvement, but I'm looking forward to that Giordano's you get at the end of the race, and then me and my boy son are gonna go to Cleo's after. We've been talking about this for like months. So Keith Lee did this like food review on Cleo's, and said it was like one of the best like soul food restaurants in Chicago. So that got my eye. So we're gonna have that after. Perfect post game snack. Yeah, I mean, it's called Chicagoland, so it's a spring marathon. They have like a half marathon, 10K. I think you can also do a virtual option, but we're going for the big boy. We're going for the big boy marathon. So that's the goal. Yeah.
Awesome. Are you going to progress to Ironman eventually?
So kind of like that ladder of what I was talking about. Once you get done with the marathon, it's usually like either High Rocks or the Ironman, like 70.3. Or like the full Ironman, or you can go ultra marathon. So ultra marathon, I think, is anything over 30 miles. But I definitely would think about doing the Ironman 70.3, and I actually think it's pretty reasonable for my shape right now. Because biking is not that hard for me. Obviously, the 13 miles, I've gotten to a pace to where 13 miles is like. I ran that this last week, and I can run it pretty comfortably. The farthest I've ran in my training is 21 miles. So to run 13 does not seem too hard, especially when you're juiced up on adrenaline in an actual race. Now the swimming is where it kind of gets a little bit more challenging. And that's where I'd actually really have to prep a little bit for. But I definitely see an Ironman 70.3 as a lot more realistic than what I thought it would be a couple months ago. So maybe that's the plan. Or maybe I'll try to run an ultra marathon. That would be a little crazy. That would be pretty tough, but especially at my size, I'm planning to try to cut down a little bit more after this is all said and done. About like 215 right now. So if I could get down to like a 190, that'd be great. And I think kind of be perfect shape in order for me to like do anything, whether it's like ultra marathon, Ironman, or High Rocks. So
I see.
yeah,
Bro, Chris, that's truly inspirational, bro.
thank you.
I ran in high school, but I was always like a super mid cross country / track and field runner. Like my best 5K was like around like 21:40, but this was actually not a 5K. This was a race in Panama City, and everyone was cutting corners. I looked at my watch at the end of the race. It said 2.9 miles. So yeah, I ran a 2.9 miles, so maybe like a 4.8K in 21:40 or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean track was really fun though. Yo, what are you're interested in joining my IM track team?
Wait, track team? I'm not that fast.
Whoa.
That's the only thing.
Yo, we need people for the mile, the 800, the 400, the 200, 100, 4x4, 4x1, long jump. Like,
You see, I'm not good at either one of those. I think the fastest 5K I've ran is like a little under 21 minutes.
yes, sir, bro.
Yeah, especially for my big self. I mean, definitely moving a lot of weight. But the mile, I don't know what my fastest mile time is. I definitely think I could run, based on me running on the treadmill. I ran a 6 minute, and that felt relatively easy. I think I could probably run like a 5:20, 5:30.
Bro, yeah.
But that's still probably not fast enough for a mile, though.
Bro, that's awesome. That's good for a mile.
Well, like if we're competing against other people who've definitely done track and field.
Oh, but wait, no, okay, I'll tell you about the IM track event. It's deadass just the UChicago law team versus me last year. Like I solo ran like all like the 800 mile, 400, 100, etc.
Are you serious?
And competed against like 13 people on UChicago law team. I think it's because the law school just, they have too much free time on their hands.
You think so?
So they're just
I always see them locked in on the library. Sometimes I sneak into
really?
the law library and they're just all locked. They're
Okay,
there
they're
like all
definitely
day.
locked.
I mean, but how fast was the mile for the law team?
There was this one girl. She was ex-Stanford D1 runner.
She
was really, really fast. Not gonna lie.
And Tim is expecting me to compete against that at like a 5:30, and they're probably running like sub 5, maybe pushing 440, 430.
Hey, you got it, bro. I believe
Maybe
in you.
under.
I believe in you,
You got a lot of belief in me.
bro. I better
Over
see.
promise, under deliver.
I better see you sign up soon, bro.
And keep in mind, like, if you think the mile is already kind of let's not even go to shorter distances like a 400, 100, or like 200. It's going to be a lot worse. I think I've gotten faster, but I've never been like the fastest kid in the world, you know? So maybe not the right thing to put that much confidence in me. And then jumping, opposed to the stereotype, I do not have jumps. I do not have jumps like that. I can maybe touch rim on a basketball court, but like,
Bro, that's tough.
yeah, I'm also like 6'1", Tim. I'm expected to. You know, like, I'm kind of expected to be able to touch the rim. If I wasn't, then that'd be like a disgrace to my height and my genetics.
Genetics.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, what was kind of your main event in track?
I think I was the best at like the 400. Actually, I was running like 56 like sophomore year.
Good.
Thanks.
Anything under a minute is like pretty good.
Minutes like then you're like a solid like kind of high school runner once you're under a minute for sure.
Dang, you have that speed, boy. You get the Black Air Forces too.
I have that energy, bro.
Yeah, you got that energy.
Okay. I actually was really close to walking on the UChicago track team. I looked under the 400 walk on time, and it was like 57, and I was like, yo, I'm 56, I'm right there. And then I was about to like go to tryouts, schedule an email, like just say, yo, welcome track team, Tim Yu has arrived. But then I realized I was looking at the women's times.
Oh, what was the men's time?
It was like 52 or something.
Oh wow. Okay.
So hopes and dreams burned. But
do you think you could have got to the 52 if you kind of like locked in a little bit more?
Yo, there's always that one guy like, yo, I could have been XD. I could have been.
Yes, sir.
Like,
Unc at the cookout.
I could have been, but
I had hoop dreams.
But I mean, I don't want to like put myself down and be like, no, I couldn't have. But like, I mean, I think I could have honestly if I. But I don't know. There was this one time in a cross country practice, the coach made an example out of me. She was like, "You guys want to be like the Wyatts of this world? Wyatt's he's like the team captain, D1 runner at William and Mary, super fast, super disciplined person, great guy. Or you want to be like kind of like the Tims of the world, and you're just like just here for fun, not taking it seriously, and just basically gooning around." And
to that high school coach, Tim's at UChicago. Where are you at? Not too bad of a place, I would like to say.
That is true, but at least with running though, I definitely gooned around. But that's okay though. I mean,
you're a pro gooner. You're a pro gooner.
Pro gooner, like in general, like not actually gooning, just by like having fun.
Yeah, you're just a pro gooner.
I guess I am, bro. All right. Type shit, bro.
Yeah, type.
Bro, it's facts.
Tim's a pro gooner. We're gonna have like a meme where it's like freeze framed, and then Tim is, just has vote for Tim, pro gooner.
Type shit, bro. I like that. All right, we are.
I didn't mean to. My fault. I didn't mean to get rid of your segment. Like,
wait, I would have. Wait, I was over. It was over.
Oh, my fault.
Yeah, no, you're good, bro. You're so good.
Oh, we're so good. We're so back, Tim.
Bro, we're so back.
Tim, we're so back.
But yeah, no, we are closing up on the hour, so we will wrap it up soon. But all right, time for some rapid questions.
Oh my gosh. Okay, here we go.
All right, Chris. Red or blue?
Blue.
Harper or Reg?
Reg. It's a classic.
Football or running?
Ooh, this is a really good question. Now, running has to be.
Okay.
To watch football.
Oh, yeah.
But I can't play football anymore. It's just too hard on the body.
Yeah.
Especially at my size. I would get ran over.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Cool. Private equity or startups?
Startups, because if startup goes big, like you're good. You're good for life. Private equity, you need a couple of deals to kind of make some money. You know what I'm saying? It's not like one deal and you're out. It's like startup, it's one company and you can legitimately be out.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Pike or Fiji?
Pike.
That's what I'm talking about.
A lot of my boys are in Fiji though. I got a lot of football boys back in Fiji. Hey, respect to Fiji, man. Fiji, great fraternity out there and great guys. So can never talk bad on them.
Bro,
But,
of course.
you know,
We were the two Tauses of UChicago, of course.
yeah. That was me.
But,
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it.
But yeah. Wait. Before we end, you should tell us about the story of like you coming into Pike, with, like Leroy, and like just like and how it's been on your life, and why you would or would not recommend it, or just your experience in being in fraternity in general.
Yeah. I second year I wasn't really gonna do fraternity because I was recruiting for banking and
Yeah.
stuff, and like not just banking but private credit, private equity, hedge funds, and stuff of that nature. And Leroy had a different plan. So Leroy's my dog. He's going through his own recruiting stuff and things of that nature. But him, Benicio, and Anton all sat in the what do you call it? Woodlawn in Gallo House Lounge. I don't even know how they got in there, by the way, because Benicio, Leroy's not in Woodlawn. Anton is. Maybe Anton let them in. Now that I think about it. And they asked me, mainly Leroy. He's like, join Pike, join Pike, join Pike, join Pike, join Pike. I kid you not. I said no for like 2 hours straight. This guy's still sitting in the lounge, like, join Pike, join Pike, join Pike. And he's going on and on. By this time, Benicio got up, said, I'm going to bed. Anton, I think, was just sitting there kind of like, hey, he's going to do what he wants to or not, but it would be great if you do join Pike. Leroy is like, F that. Like, join Pike. At least give it a chance. Come to the first education session. And I'm with my friend Derek. So Derek's a good friend of mine. I've known him since freshman year. And yeah, he's a great buddy of mine. And he was like, I am not doing a fraternity. There's no way I'm doing a fraternity. No way, no way. And he just keeps saying to Leroy and no to Leroy and no to Anton. Funny story, Derek and Anton, they had difference of opinions on fraternities. Derek was like, there's just no point in me doing this. And Anton was like, no, you should definitely join. And Derek was like, no. And Derek eventually said, like, you know what, I'll think about it if you do it, Chris. And I was just like, I have no time possible to do this, especially with recruiting, especially with everything going on. There's just no way. But Leroy finally cracks me, and I say, you know what, just get the hell out. Like, I'll finally come to the first lineup. I'm like, fine, shut up and let me go to bed. And I respected Leroy enough to at least give it a chance and actually go through with it. Especially since I respect Leroy a lot. He's a great guy. Well regarded on campus as a great guy, too. I know a close friend of yours, too, Tim, right?
Who's?
Leroy.
Oh, Leroy, of course. He's on my PC.
Yeah. So, I get to that first lineup. I meet a couple of characters. Derek's right there with me. He's kind of ready to just walk out as soon as it begins. So I go through with it, and I have a couple other buddies of mine who are first year, second years. And I look to myself, and I say, okay. And I get done with the education session, and I kind of think, like, this sucked, but it wasn't that bad. And maybe story for another time. That was only the beginning. It all goes uphill and downhill at the same time. As everybody says, it's the fun you never want to have again. But I generally think those are some of my friends for the rest of my college career and hopefully my life. People I invite over to my apartment all the time, people that I hang out with a lot, I share conversations with. I don't know if I'd be having this talk with Tim right now if we weren't in the same fraternity. And I think we have a lot of similar interests that we never would have been able to actually flesh out, from me being at the house and you being interested in Pike at first and me being interested in Pike, and me staying or you staying and just being interacting at different events and seeing each other and just kind of having that cordial middle ground of being a Pike member. So, yeah,
bro, type shit. Bro.
And I definitely would recommend Pike. That's the last point. Definitely recommend Pike. I think we have a lot of guys who are very nice, very just great guys who are genuinely pure-hearted. We can have the label as mouse, bouse, touse. Genuinely, I don't think any of that matters at UChicago. I think a lot of people talk about trying to be the Taos of UChicago, but I think it's kind of oxymoron considering the school we're at. And I have a lot of friends who go to, super big schools, and that's an actual fraternity. And I think here it should be less about a fraternity, but more of like a social circle. Now, if you want to say
Yeah.
Taos social circles, then that's another argument. But I think just a fraternity, it should be more about who are going to be your friend groups and less about the parties. Because if you want to have a good party, just go downtown at that point. But, that's just me.
Yeah, bro, you're the man, Chris.
Yeah,
That
I
makes
appreciate
sense.
it, Tim. Now I'm going to wrap around. See, okay. So I didn't hit the microphone too much, but yeah, no,
Absolutely.
this has been awesome, Tim. I really appreciate it. Hopefully we can have another episode. Hopefully the viewers didn't hate me too much, but
Yeah.
and they kind of resonated with my story. Go add me at Chris Simington on Instagram.
Or LinkedIn.
Yeah, LinkedIn too. Probably not LinkedIn, but go add me on Instagram.
He's single, but
Maybe not for long.
Oh,
Nah, yeah.
shoot. All right, but yeah.
Wait, that's the wrong.
Yo, it's all good,
bro.
bro.
Tim's trying to deuce me out here, bro.
I'm cooked.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, thank you so much for coming on the show once again, Chris. Remember, Tim Talks available on YouTube. Some clips will be on Instagram Reels. We're always available on Spotify. And is there any like closing statement or like just piece of advice you just want to, wrap up one takeaway?
I think and I'll try not to be too much of an unk. Try not to take life too much at what it gives you. And I notice this a lot at UChicago. A lot of people stress about what's incoming or what's already happened. The quickest way to fix your stress of something that is incoming is to prepare for it, right? It is to prepare as much as you can for it. So when you walk into that event, whether it's a midterm, a final, a test, an interview, if you have prepared for it, you shouldn't be that stressed out. Now, you should be a little nervous because it means you care about it, but I don't think you should be that stressed out because you've put everything you could possibly into it. And whenever you finish something like a midterm, a final, or interview, or a date, you've done everything you could. So what is the point of stressing about something that you can no longer control? And that's something I think a lot of people concern themselves with a lot at Chicago, of keeping the stress around even though they've accomplished something or check something off the box. And I think that's just wasted energy. And it is something that you can transfer into the next thing going into your life that is actually incoming and hasn't already passed. So I would say always remember that. Always keep low cortisol. Cortisol. And with that, appreciate you guys for listening, and go follow Tim Talks. He has some good stuff.
We're out. Christopher Aurelius.